Hooty hoo, all my stock market gamblers. Welcome today. I'm Tall Mike. I'm so glad you're here. What do we got going on? Well, we made it to the end of the week, right? I mean, what a week it was. We had the Fed announcement. Basically, they did nothing, but it did show some volatility. A lot of volatility in this market. Someone is buying a lot of debt, right? I mean, the HYG will not come down. That's a junk bond. Somebody's buying those. TLT's having a nice run up. Someone's buying that debt. I get the feeling the Fed is in there buying a lot of debt. Now, the market right now, it seems to be a little bit oversold. I do think we're going to start to bounce from here. We're going to come up, and on the NASDAQ, I think we topped out. I mentioned that in the last video, but I think we're going to come up, make a lower high, and then we're going to head a little bit lower. The Dow, maybe they want to still push that up to new record highs. They're buying this debt. They're trying to push it up. Now, when they're buying the debt, S&P usually goes up with it. Now, that 50-day moving average, it's sitting right on the 50-day. It can't get back above the 20-day just yet. We'll see if that 50-day support holds. I think it will. I think we're going to bounce up from here. I think we're going to push and make an attempt at a new high, but I think it might come up short, and then I think we're going to head lower. This is just my take. Now, before we get over to the real estate market today, I want to talk about something else. First of all, it's the Olympics, right? It's the Olympics, and the United States just set a new world record. New world record for the U.S., right? $35 trillion of debt. $35 trillion of debt. That's a world record. No country has ever had this much debt. It's fascinating to me that we just keep going up and up and up. Now, I mean, I am so proud that I can live in a country like the United States where anything we need, we can just go out and print money. That just makes me proud. It doesn't have any repercussions. There's no side effects from this money printing. Now, back in when I was a young guy in school, you know, they used to, all my life, my professors would always tell me, Mike, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And to them, all I got to say, you guys are a bunch of morons. Morons, I tell you. We got a free lunch. We can just print the money. 35 trillion. We're not done yet. We live in a great country. We have the reserve currency. We're going to blow that up as far as we can, right? But, you know, personally, I'm getting a little tired of having my purchasing power stolen. It's stolen. I'm being robbed. I'm being robbed of my purchasing power. Every time they print another $1 trillion, which is every 100 days, my purchasing power goes down and down and down. And you can feel it. You can see it in the grocery store. You can see it at the gas station. You can see it in your utility bills. But my purchasing power is just going to zero. And it's going to head that direction. But not to worry, not to worry. We had that Bitcoin conference this past week, right? I mean, they paid Donald Trump to come and say, I'm going to be the Bitcoin president. He's going to be Bitcoin president. Now, the funny thing is all Bitcoin has done since then is go down. I mean, maybe America doesn't want a Bitcoin president. I thought it would have got a bid, and maybe that would push it up a little higher when the Donald comes in and says he's going to be the Bitcoin president. Well, that's very interesting. But the speech that really got me fascinated was Michael Saylor, right? Now, he's the MicroStrategies. That's his company, right? Well, it's really a Bitcoin hedge fund. That means he owns 18 billion worth of Bitcoin. I don't know, they run some side business, right? And it's all levered out. I mean, he's got a lot of loans coming due in 2027. He's bet the farm. He's bet the farm that Bitcoin's going to be higher by then so he can pay off this debt. We'll see if that works out for him, but he has a plan for the United States. He's going to solve our debt problem. You know what? That 35 trillion, we don't have to worry about it anymore. We just got to print $1 trillion or so and buy half of the Bitcoin in the world. We buy half the Bitcoin. When Bitcoin hits $1 million, Bitcoin will be out of debt. So we're just going to print the money and buy up half the Bitcoin. This is what Michael Saylor says the United States should do. Now, I'm a little bit different than him. You only live once, right? I mean, I think we should YOLO on this, right? You only live once. We should go with some altcoins, right? Maybe some Shiba Inu, maybe some Dogecoin. I don't know. Whatever coin your heart's desire. I mean, we're going to gamble. Let's go big. Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin may do it. I don't know. Michael Saylor says that's the way out of debt. We'll see if it is and we'll see if it's not, right? But you know, it is fascinating to me. You know, I'm not totally knocking his idea. United States is just desperate, right? I mean, your pension fund's desperate. Pension funds are underfunded. What are they doing? They're gambling on the Bitcoin. So maybe the United States should gamble on Bitcoin, right? Now, I hope if I were to run the U.S., what I would do, I would print a bunch of money and start buying gold. You see, we say we have 8,000 ounces of gold in the Fort Knox, right? But it hasn't been audited. Nobody's seen it. Not since 1970. What is that? 55 years ago or so, right? Nobody's seen it. Do we still have it? I don't think we do. They say we have 8,000 tons of it. 8,000 tons. Okay, that's a lot of gold if we have it, but I'd still be buying some more. We haven't bought any since the 70s or before the 70s. We don't buy gold anymore. Every other country, they're buying gold. Why? Because they see the writing on the wall. They're getting out of the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar's been weaponized. Look at, we're stealing Russia's money, and then we give it to Ukraine to fight against Russia. You know, Russia's probably not that happy about that. But that's what we do now. We weaponize the dollar, so a lot of people don't want the dollar anymore. So I would suggest to get some gold. I would suggest that you get some gold. I'm going to get some gold. I think the United States should start buying gold again, or at least show us the 8,000 tons that's in Fort Knox. Someone going to audit it, see if we actually have the gold. I don't think we do, but okay, let's get over to the housing market for a little bit here. All right, so everybody, you know, a lot of these, whatever the comments, a lot of these comments, they tell me, but Mike, we're not in a housing bubble. There's a shortage of houses. This is just the new price of houses. Now, maybe we are, maybe we're not. I'm saying we're in the largest housing bubble we've ever seen. Now, if you go back, this is interesting. Stay with me on this. Okay, you go back to 1950. I know that's a long time ago. Even I wasn't born in 1950. 1959 I was born, right? Okay, so I was in the 1950s. But if you go all the way back to 1950, the median price home was approximately $7,000. You could go buy the median price home in the U.S. in 1950. Okay, what was the average income in 1950? Well, the median income in 1950, once again, approximately $3,500. So $7,000 house, $3,500. So 2 times your income, right? Okay, where are we at today? This is 2024. Let's move forward, right? All right, so average price home, rough numbers, we'll call it 400,000, right? It's really about 420. It's 400,000. Average price home, average price income, median income, approximately rough numbers, 50,000. 50,000. What is that? That's 8 times your income. Okay, so in 1950, 2 times your income. Now it's 8 times your income. Look at, things were a lot different back then. And you go down to some areas of California, like where I live, it's up to 10 times your income. You're out there making 120 grand and you're trying to buy $1 million house. And that's the starter home. That's the best you can do, is get a starter home for $1 million. See, it's changed over the years. Now, I know a lot of people my age, they go, but Mike, I bought my first house. I paid 18% interest. These kids today, they're whining because they got to pay 7% interest. Look, it was a lot different back then. 2 times income, 2 times, not 8 times, not 10 times. It was a lot different back then. It has never been more unaffordable than it is right now. Look at Americans, me and you, we're getting hosed, man. We're getting hosed by the government. They're printing the money, right? And our money's just becoming worthless. Look, let me tell you how life used to be. All right, so you go back to the sitcom in the 70s. What was it? The Brady Bunch? I don't know. Mr. Brady, I guess his wife's name was Carol, right? Okay, now, Mr. Brady, he had a job. Did Carol have a job? No, she didn't have a job. Did she have a housekeeper? Oh, yes, she had a housekeeper. Well, that's cool. Did they have any kids? Yeah, they had 6 of them. 6 kids, 1 guy working, the wife doesn't work, a housekeeper, 2 cars in the driveway. That's how we lived back then. That was normal. You could do it with 1 income. Another episode, I mean, as the 70s, let's go to the 80s. All right, what was that? Married with Children. I think that's what it's called. Bundy, yeah, Mr. Bundy. That guy's great, right? He's so funny. I mean, he's a shoe salesman. A shoe salesman. Did he have a wife? Yeah, I think her name was Peg, right? So he had a wife. He just sells shoes at the mall. That was his job, right? He had a wife. Did he have any kids? Yeah, he had 2 kids, right? Did they have cars? Yeah, they had cars. Did they have a house? Yeah, they had a house. He sold shoes at the mall. But you could afford all that because the dollar had purchasing power. You see, we've changed today. The whole system is just, once you got away from this sound money, once sound money got away, once you got off the gold standard, they can just print as much money as they want. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're printing money, $1 trillion every 100 days. But hey, we got the gold record, right? We won the gold medal for the world record, $35 trillion of debt. That's incredible, right? Okay, now let's say when you go get a loan, when you go buy a house, you go get a loan, right? Okay, well, you go get the loan, and what's normal, income to debt ratio? Say you need $1 million loan. Well, I mean, in the old days, it's about 30% of your income, right? So 30%, so you'd need to make about $300,000 to get, a debt to the $1 million, but you see, it used to be 30%. It was the ratio. That's the most house you could buy, right? Okay, so the most you could buy on $300,000 income was $1 million, right? But today they shifted from that 30%, the maximum loan to income value, right? Okay, what is it now? Well, it's supposed to be 43% is supposed to be the maximum. But they're doing 50, 60% loan to income ratios right now. I mean, that's incredible. This is not sustainable. These poor people that they're putting in these houses, oh man, they're just getting, their neck is tightening. They can't afford anything. They're house poor. Yeah, they got a house. Everybody wants a house, right? Until it makes you poor. You don't want to be house poor. Now, houses are starting to go down. I mean, real estate in general. Man, the commercial land, this was fascinating. Okay, there's this building in Manhattan, New York, right? Okay, so it sold 90% below its last sale, right? So there's a lot of these buildings where they're selling 80 to 90% below the last sale. So let's say you bought your house for $1 million, right? And now let's say 5 years from now, it's selling for 80% off. It's selling, you bought $1 million, let's say it goes all the way down to 200,000. That's what's happening in the commercial land. That's happening right now. But Mike, that's commercial land. That's not possible to happen in the housing market. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Has it ever happened anywhere before? Yes, it has happened in Japan. The houses went down 80% when their commercial real estate went down 90%. Now commercial real estate already down 90%. Could houses come down 80%? But Mike, that's Japan. We live in the United States. Nobody wants to hear about Japan. And maybe you don't. Maybe it could never happen here. But I'm saying the possibility is not, like, it's still possible, right? I mean, it's not 0% that this is going to happen. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying it's probably a 2 or 3% chance that could happen. And yeah, that'd mean things are really, really bad, right? That would mean that we've reset things. That would mean that gold and silver have become money again. We'd get back to real money and we'd get back to real prices. You see, there's no price right now. There's no price discovery going on in the marketplace. People don't know what things are supposed to sell for. They really don't. You can go look at a house today. They can tell you it's 2 million. They can tell you it's 10 million. Maybe it could be either thing. You can look at Bitcoin today. What is it? I don't know, 60, 70,000? Is it worth 60 or 70,000? I don't know. Could it go to 70 million if you pay 70,000? Maybe you can find an idiot that's going to pay you 70 million. Look, don't get on me about Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin, right? I mean, I gamble in it. Michael Saylor, he's gambling. He's gambling his whole company. He wants the United States to gamble our whole country. I love Bitcoin, man. It goes up, it goes down, it moves 80%. Houses, they might start moving 80%, but I'm afraid the direction's going to be in the downward direction. We're going to see how that all plays out. But I'm telling you, this housing's starting to become a train wreck. The inventory's piling on and the prices are coming down. And we're just getting started with the job losses, right? Job losses, a lot of job losses. But people aren't able to find a new one now. That's the difference. In the past, you get to lose a job, you'd have a new one the next week. Now you lose your job, you get a severance package, right? 6 months. Maybe you get 9 months if you're lucky, and so you use your severance package package to live on. But, oh, I better start looking for work. And you think you can get a job like that, but you can't. You send out 100 resumes. No one calls you back. Not one call back. Look at the job market's changing. Those people are going to be dumping houses like you wouldn't believe. This whole situation is changing. It's changing really fast. Look at, they're going to print the money. They're going to try to prop up the stock market. They're going to try to prop up the housing market. And maybe they can do it, you know, but I would just protect myself a little bit. This is just what I'm doing. I'm getting a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver. I'm getting some real money. We're going back to the day where we had real money, where we had sound money, where we had price discovery. If you like this stuff, give me the thumbs up. Why not? I'm Tall Mike. Punch the subscribe button. Get out there, everybody. Have a great weekend. We're going to talk again next week. Bye-bye now.